We are fighting for America's future, and we understand the opportunity we have before us to turn the page on the fear
All right, so it's 10 days out from the election, and all bets are off, especially when it comes to the Kamala Harris campaign. I mean, the message they are now pushing is extreme at this point. And all that decency, all that joy, all that rising above, it's gone. And the latest culprit is Michelle Obama. She just loses it at this rally where she shames people into voting for Kamala Harris. Yes, she has stooped to a new low. And so what we're going to do is talk about it, obviously, debunk the lies, of course, and give you some common sense to take away from this.
I got to ask myself, well, why on earth is this race even close? I lay awake at night wondering what in the world is going on. And it's clear to me that the question isn't whether Kamala is ready for this moment, because by every measure, she has demonstrated that she's ready. The real question is, as a country, are we ready for this moment?
Now, there's a lot of people on social media that is taking that as a suggestion that if you don't vote for her, you are out of your mind. Now, I'm going to make this clear. I am going to vote for Trump. I support Trump. And if you don't want to vote for him, that is your own personal choice. I could care less. My job is just to provide common sense, and maybe that will help some people look at this situation differently. And for other people, maybe it won't. But what you're not going to find me doing is what they are doing, which is trying to shame and guilt people. This is just a classical life lesson. You can't force people to do things they don't want to do. All you're going to do is alienate them in the end. And that's exactly what her campaign is doing. You've heard from undecided voters, swing voters, even Democrats who say they don't agree with this type of messaging. But now Michelle Obama is on board and she's losing it. Let's go to this next clip to hear what she had to say.
But whether it's online or in the media or in our social circles, there are folks who say they're not sure about Kamala. They accuse her of not providing enough policy detail. Some wonder, do we really know her? Is she too aggressive? Is she not aggressive enough? There are folks sowing seeds of doubt about whether she's who she appears to be. Now, don't get me wrong. Voters have every right to ask hard questions of any candidate seeking office. But can someone tell me why we are once again holding Kamala to a higher standard than her opponent?
Yeah, so let's just debunk that whole narrative that Kamala Harris is being held to a higher standard. And just let's remind ourselves of the facts. Donald Trump went through a primary. Donald Trump was elected as the presidential nominee for the Republican Party. So he went through people who definitely put up a fight, Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis. Kamala Harris did not do that. That's number one. Number two, President Trump was the president before. We seem to forget that. So there's that. And then number three, it's not President Trump's fault or anybody else's that Kamala Harris was inserted into this election 60 days ago. And there are some advantages to that, and there are some disadvantages to that. And one of the disadvantages, clearly, is that people don't know you because she hasn't had time to campaign. That's just the bottom line. Is that a double standard? No, it's not. It's the reality. But if you think that was crazy, wait till you hear Michelle Obama's message to people who say they're going to sit out this election. Watch.
But to anyone out there thinking about sitting out this election or voting for Donald Trump or a third-party candidate in protest because you're fed up, let me warn you, your rage does not exist in a vacuum. If we don't get this election right, your wife, your daughter, your mother, we as women will become collateral damage to your rage. Prepared to look into the eyes of the women and children you love and tell them that you supported this assault on our safety?
I find the irony, how rich Michelle Obama is in her messaging to tell people who choose to sit out this election that it's their fault. It's their rage on why daughters and wives will be threatened or their rights will be taken away. I mean, that is really insane if you think about it, okay? They truly believe that President Trump is going to monitor women's cycles. They truly believe that Trump is going to initiate a national abortion ban. That's how propaganda works, even though the facts will say otherwise. And he was the president before. So I would think if he really wanted to pass a national abortion ban, he would have did it already. Because the best time to do any of those things that we would label as radical and extremist would have been during COVID. At the end of the day, these people come off as if they know more about you than you do yourself. They refuse to listen to you and understand why you feel the way that you do. This is why Kamala Harris continues, I guess now it's just happening every day, to get heckled and booed at her own campaign rally. Yes, it happened again. Watch.
We are fighting for America's future, and we understand the opportunity we have before us to turn the page on the fear
All right. Now, before I tell you what I think about that, do me a favor. If you're getting value from these videos, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. If you want to support us further, you can go to the link in the description below and grab yourself a t-shirt like the one that I'm wearing here, Make America Greater 24. Or you can just buy us a cup of coffee. All right. Now, getting booed at your own campaign rally is obviously a bad look. OK. At a certain level, you kind of feel some type of pity for her because, listen, it's not like she was set up to really be successful here, okay? Yes, they run a flawless campaign, but this is a campaign that's only 60 days old, all right? In all reality, if we look at history, she should not win this election, okay? That's just number one. Number two, she's not the best candidate. And the other part of it is she's been infected with this progressive woke ideology that is pissing off a lot of Americans. This is why so many people are leaving the Democratic Party. And out of all people, I can't believe this. I'm going to tell you this and show you this clip. Van Jones from CNN, he admitted this to Bill Maher. Listen to this.
If progressives have a politics that says all white people are racist, all men are toxic, and all billionaires are evil, it's kind of hard to keep them on your side. And so we might want to think about, if you're chasing people out of the party, you can't be mad when they leave. And maybe if we had a different politics, we actually said dignity for everybody, everybody's respected, and we need you, more people might stay.
Now, if Kamala Harris loses this election, I believe her campaign should be used as a case study, just like Trump's campaign, by the way, because all the things that he had to go through and overcome just to end up winning the election would be nothing short of history. However, her campaign should be a case study because the Democratic Party and politics in America, there have been some classical mistakes that they made that they refuse to acknowledge or do anything about. It's like watching a football team. They're getting blown out by 40 points in the first two quarters. They go into halftime and they make no adjustments. And the only adjustment they make is going to part of the playbook that they know isn't going to work and lost them the game last time. That's what they're doing right now. And what I mean is, telling white men that they're racist because they're white men is just ridiculous. It's almost reverse racism in a sense. Trying to shame and guilt black men into voting for Kamala Harris is a bad mistake. And you know who just got a lot of backlash for doing that? Former President Obama. And guess what? He has not let up. He's double downing on that message. I know, it's crazy. Listen to this.
This is normally a voting bloc that Democrats can count on. So why is the campaign pulling out all the stops to appeal to this group in particular?
Yeah, well, President Obama a few weeks ago delivered this very pointed message to black men really appealing to people that he feel like is having excuses to not vote for Vice President Harris. And they have seen weaknesses with both Black males and Latino males. So this is very much a block that Democrats are seeking to shore up. And of course, Obama is the first Black president. And so they're having him on this call, Win with Black Men, that had more than 50,000 people when Harris first entered this race this summer and raised more than $1 million, and has basically been doing these calls pretty regularly and sort of having these family or kitchen table discussions over YouTube, over this live stream. And so Obama's going to be calling into that tomorrow, having this open discussion where he will take questions and hopefully have, again, those sort of open and honest discussions amongst Black men.
See, the problem with Obama is he has zero credibility too. And when you come out and you shame Black men into trying to vote for Kamala Harris by accusing them of being sexist, misogynistic, or misinformed, that means you're refusing to even have an understanding of why we are not voting for Kamala Harris. That's why it brings us to this line that the Democratic Party has crossed by calling Trump a fascist, by accusing him of loving Hitler, and to the point where it's got even Democrats saying, wait a minute, that messaging is not going to win this election, especially when the New York City mayor is acknowledging how crazy that message is. Listen to this.
Mr. Mayor, I wondered if I could ask you about any communications you've been having with the Trump campaign about this rally or otherwise, and if you believe, as others have said, that the former president is a fascist.
You know, I have been had those terms hurled at me by some political leaders in the city, using terms like Hitler and fascist. My answer is no. I know what Hitler has done, and I know what a fascist regime looks like. I think, as I've called over and over again, that the level of conversation, I think we could all dial down the temperature. And I've heard people say that the former president should not be able to have a rally in Madison Square Garden. I strongly disagree. This is America. This is New York. And I think it's important that we allow individuals to exercise their right to get their message clear to New Yorkers.
Listen, you don't have to get a political science degree to truly understand human behavior. It really comes down to energy, okay? The energy from the Kamala Harris campaign will not win her this election if she keeps doing what she's doing. That's just bottom line, full stop. The energy from the Trump campaign, on the other hand, they are energizing people in a way that is humanizing Trump. And it's doing what? It's countering this rhetoric coming from her campaign and the Trump deranged media that he loves Hitler, which we know is not true. And obviously, everyone has an opinion. That's what I believe to be true. But sometimes I like hearing from the experts confirm what I'm saying. Listen to the top pollster in America who went on CNN and confirmed what I just said. Watch.
Frank, I want to know what your perspective is on. Obviously, we're in the final weeks here. We're starting to get actual numbers in terms of early vote. It goes a little bit beyond the polling now. We have more to work with in terms of understanding where the electorate is, what's going to happen. A lot of my sources feel like the momentum is actually with Trump at this moment, and that is potentially putting him on track to win on election night, perhaps in a bigger way than the very close polling would suggest. What do you think? What do you think about where we are right now?
I can't call it. And
I'm not asking you to call it. I'm just asking you to help us understand, where is that momentum going?
It is heading towards Trump. But what's interesting is that with Harris focused on why she should be elected president, that's when her numbers grew. She's had the best 60 days of any presidential candidate in modern history. And then the moment that she turned anti-Trump and focused on him and said, don't vote for me, vote against him, that's when everything froze. And the fact is, Donald Trump is defined. He's not gaining, he's not losing, he is who he is, and his vote is where it is. She is less well-defined, and if she continues just to define this race as vote against Trump, she's going to stay where she is now, and she may lose.
And I just think Kamala and the Democratic Party, they don't care about that. They think they're going to win this election by scaring people with Project 2025, which would never happen because there's three branches of government, people. Number two, they're scaring people with abortion, which all they're really saying is we want to legalize the ability for people to murder babies who clearly can survive outside the womb. And then 3, they want you to believe that Trump is Hitler, even though he was already the president. Now, you do the math on that and you tell me if that makes sense. So that's my opinion. Michelle Obama, she's lost it. We know Barack Obama lost it a couple of weeks back when he tried to shame black men into voting for Kamala Harris. That didn't work, clearly. And then her campaign went into overdrive trying to pander to the black community. That's not going to work either, because the early voting numbers in Georgia are already down when it comes to black communities. So I don't think that's going to work. But I want to hear what your guys' opinion and thoughts are about these stories in this video, especially the Michelle Obama and then Kamala getting heckled again at her rally. I mean, that's just crazy. Please let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Now, I just did a video, okay, reacting to Kamala Harris doing a bait and switch at her rally in Houston, Texas, where most people believed that Beyonce was going to perform, and she didn't. If you haven't seen that video, because it's gone viral at this point, all you have to do is click on it because it's coming up right now.